Ram, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Tom.
You've been a loyal attendee of OIS. We're always happy to have you here, and I'm very pleased that you had some news lately. You raised $21 million, which I'm told, I've never done it myself, but I'm told it's kind of hard to do. How was it?
The presbyopia market, particularly the accommodative lenses, has been really tough to raise money.
Yeah.
Because I felt like, when I started this company, I'm sitting in a penalty box. Because there's so many companies started and failed in this area. Approximately $1 billion plus has been spent buying companies, starting companies, and they really didn't get home. So there was a lot of skepticism from strategics and the institutional investors. So I knew from the day one that I'm not going to raise money from them until I have good clinical data. So we raised money from the alternative sources. And we were able to do it. We raised about $7 million that way from angels.
From angels?
Yeah, money comes in small drips, obviously, from angels. But we were able to do it. And finally, we got institutional investors to believe in us.
So angels alone, or did you get grants? What were some of the other sources of finance?
We didn't get any grants.
No grants?
We got a small amount of a grant from J&J in the very beginning of the company for innovative ideas. And so that actually gave us a kickstart for the company. And after that, it was all angels.
So why go into presbyopia at all, knowing you have all those stacks against you?
Because if you look at ophthalmology, really the largest opportunity for any company is presbyopia. And within the presbyopia, of course, there are multiple solutions for it. But the best solution is the one that really mimics what you had when you're 20-year-old. In other words, you have a contiguous vision. You can focus on automatically, without effort, without an external device. And you can implant this lens in the eye with a standard cataract, small incision, topical anesthetic. And that promise hasn't been fulfilled by any technology so far. And so when we start, we're not going to take a technology and tailor that to the market, but we understand what the market is and tailor technology to the market. So what are the market needs in a presbyopia? It has to be contiguously focusing device, near, distance, intermediate, and everything in between. Mm-hmm. So that's A. And then as B, it has to be compatible with cataract. Why? Because there are 25 million cataract surgeries done every year. And it's going to go to 40 million in the next 10 years. So if you have a procedure that's compatible with a surgical procedure everybody is doing in the world exactly the same way, it's an automatic adoption. And that's why corneal products are finding harder to reach the marketplace, because that's not the way it's done. And so we said that's number two. Number three is the technology has to be robust. And the amount of time it takes to do the surgery has to be the same as a standard cataract surgery. And so these are easy things to say. And of course, the third thing we said is amount of accommodation you get is good for every age. Whether you're a 45-year-old, you don't need much accommodation. Whether you're a 75-year-old, you need a lot of accommodation. It'll satisfy the entire range. And so easy to say these are the requirements for the market, but hard to achieve. But if we do, that's the holy grail. Because there are 2 billion people who could use that technology, or 4 billion eyes. The market size is just too enormous.
And I think that's coming through, right? I mean,
it's coming
at
through.
This meeting, where presbyopia seems to be, I don't want to say it's a new dry eye, but it seems it's the condition everyone's kind of dropping. Yeah. Like now we're interested in this.
You're right, because whatever the skepticism that was there with the previous generations of technologies, and that is going away because they're newer generation and working on a different principle. Our system works more biomimetic than the previous technologies because, for example, the ionics, that lens works by moving the lens back and forth. That's not the way nature works. Nature changes the shape of the lens. And so in order to do that, you have to jump into a new technology, which is fluid lenses. A lot of people didn't know anything about fluid lenses. They didn't want to venture into that area. And so a couple of companies did, and they made it work. And so we are one of them.
So did the excitement about presbyopia that we're seeing here, did that aid in the fundraising? Is there more of a recognition from investors now?
I think there was a recognition all along. Presbyopia, everybody recognized as the biggest market. And the best way to prove that thesis is today multifocal lenses dominate the presbyopia market for cataract. And so multifocal lenses, I have a lot of issues with them. It's a compromise visually. People have halos, people have glares. Explant rates are very high, 1 in 40. And in spite of all those issues, it's a $1 billion market. And it's the most profitable segment of the IOL market for the doctors and for the companies. So it's a lucrative market for everybody. And the market is living with a compromised product. So everybody knows that this is a fantastic opportunity if there's the right technology comes and addresses all the issues that are there today. But it hasn't happened until now. And so sometimes, what people don't invest in for a long time only creates a pent-up demand for it. And now it's kind of opening.
Interesting.
And once it opens, the floodgates are open. So that's what we think.
We'll see if we have another presbyopia company getting financing a couple of weeks from now. So let's give a shout out to your investors. Who led the round?
Hoya Corporation, their venture arm led this round. And they made the most of the investment, and we had another small venture capital company put in some money too. And one of the nice things about this deal for us, from our perspective, is although this is a strategic, they're in IOL business, they sell intraocular lenses worldwide, we did not give them any rights. No marketing rights, no first right of refusal. They don't even have the right to say, we have a right to acquire your company. We have a right to examine your company first. None of those. And so their venture arm put in just like a financial entity, which is a nice relationship for us too, because we still have all our options open. And
I think the stigma that was once perceived of taking corporate money and the strings attached, I think that's largely subsided.
Yeah. In this case, it's gone.
Yeah.
So we were very carefully negotiating those things because we don't want to be just kind of sold prematurely to some company at some fixed price and not have any options. And we do now. Great. Which is very nice.
And what will you do with the capital? Where will this carry you?
The immediate target for this capital is to get the CE mark, and which will take about 2 to 3 years. And so we have sufficient capital for about 3 years. And the steps involved in getting there are we're still tinkering with the lens design a little bit. We're finalizing some aspects of the lens design. And we do that, and then we do a whole bunch of preclinical tests. And then we start our trials in Europe.
Great. Well, it's good news. We're happy to see you raise this money, and happy for the presbyopia space as someone who desperately needs something to correct my vision. I'll start off with eyeglasses and go from there, but I'll wait your FDA approval.
Well, you need a technology which is robust and safe, and then you'll do it.
Yes, exactly.
And that means at least 1 million people before you have to do it.
Half that. I'll settle for 500,000. Thanks for joining us today.
Okay. Thanks, Tom.